I've been visiting farmers who have been spending the better part of the last 20 years harvesting, cultivating, investing time into organic farms. And I've been tasting the tea. And fundamentally, it's a little bit different than tea that are not organic. And it begs the question, is it better for us? Is it a lot better for us? Is non-organic tea worse for us? And I'm going to try to answer these questions through at least 8 scientific citations that I've investigated here on this podcast. But to save you time, I'm just going to narrow down what the key findings are. What I'm sharing with you in regards to organic tea farming most certainly applies to organic farming in general. And the first reason that people gravitate towards organic farmers and their produce and their tea is that they're generally grown from healthier soil. Studies show more carbon gets stored in the soil and that the ground isn't as acidic. Why does this matter? Because if you have healthier soil, you generally have healthier plants. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're drinking tea, tea in itself is already very healthy. So you have L-theanine, you have caffeine to fend off the bugs. Are you getting a healthier version of tea? Maybe with more nutrients because the soil's stronger. My hypothesis, my deduction is yes. Doesn't make it any less tasty. Maybe the tea that's non-organic has more aromatic scents to you, but it's very subjective. Now, the second reason you want to focus on or maybe swap in organic tea from time to time is organic farming avoids synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. When you use synthetic, you have chemicals. And the more chemicals you use, the more likely there's residue from the chemicals. And these chemicals put additional pressure on the ecosystem. So that's something for you to understand as you're investigating whether or not you want to have a blend of organic products in your household or you want to stick solely to organic products, right? It's a personal choice. Both farmers work hard, I'm sure. I'm sure organic farmers would argue that they have to work harder in certain aspects, but I am also sure that non-organic farmers, because of the amount of scale they have to produce and the politics involved with producing products today, is just as stressful. So take all this information with a grain of salt. Now, the third study, or the third reason that I think is the most subjective is many people will tell you, in some of the studies, in fact, one study in Yunnan found that because organic tea had more amino acids and antioxidants, it made the flavor fresher and brighter. Well, that's tea to tea, different cultivars, different elevation, different regions. The tea will taste different. And yesterday, I think I tried, 30, 40, 50 different types of teas. They all taste pretty good, but there are nuances in all of them. But not all teas that are organic taste amazing. We have some organic tea here that tastes very earthy. And for some people, that may be just too much to handle. So subjectively, some of the scientists, some of the research paper, the one that I'll put in the show notes, Zhu et al. Says, hey, they're actually richer in flavor. So that context is richer. How do you define richer? A richer chocolate milk, etc. Now, reason number 4 is quite interesting, which is fewer toxins. It's less bad stuff in the leaves. You're going to experience probably less interference in the wellness and health of your body. Does this say does this mean that tea from non-organic farms are heavier in heavy metal? I would argue that you want to look at the reports of the tea you're buying to give yourself a firm assessment on the reality of the tea. Most of the tea that are from credible sources will have these reports. Take a look at the reports and it'll tell you all of the levels, heavy metals, etc. So our tea that we drink ourselves and that we find for friends and family, of course, we're very mindful of it all being organic, and if it's not organic, from high mountain, especially high mountain aromatic teas, we have all of the reports that go with them. Number 5, because the soil is more nutrient, you're likely going to get more nutrient in the plants that are grown from that soil. That doesn't mean that the farmers don't need to take care of the soil, feed the soil, give the soil the worms that it needs, give it the nutrients it needs to maintain that nutrient-dense profile. Because when the tea leaves or the produce grows, or the plants grow from that fertilizer, they're draining the resources from that soil. So the farmers need to replenish that soil. It's not like you just have the soil, you leave it, and you're good for the rest of your life. No, you have to add on to its biodiversity, etc. Okay, now, most of the farmers who used organic fertilizers, over time, they saw better yields, right? And they accredit this to the structure of the soil becoming stronger over time because it's actually more nutrient dense, because you're feeding the soil better ingredients. Great. Okay, the 6th reason, this is more of a ecological benefit, which is biodiversity boost. You're gonna have and you're gonna see this on the screen. When you see a organic farm, I mean, it's filled with weeds, and that's because all sorts of things grow in that soil, in that environment, including weeds. It's not perfect. And in many cases, those types of farms are very much what an organic farm looks like. Of course, there's scale. I mean, we spoke with farmers and we've met farmers that have very small hectares and they're well curated because it's almost like gardening for them. And then we have kind of mid-size farms for plants that just kind of look okay. They're not the prettiest farm, but they have good tea. Earthy tea, but high in oxidants. I mean, some of us even ran their test reports, their organic test reports through AI, and it's top 1%. So that's kind of cool, you know? That's really cool, and it's a labor of love. The other thing, the 7th reason it matters is, for most of us, it's important, right? For my children, it's important for us to figure out ways to take care of the planet so that they have a better planet to live on. It's kinder to the planet because organic farms reduces pollution and greenhouse gases. Remember, all these notes that I'm making is backed by science, so all of the science research is in the show notes. Take it with a grain of salt. Not just because it's in a science research paper doesn't mean it's always right. It's a deduction from a moment in time. So I hope you understand that. Number 8, farmers who grow organic want to provide a product that is healthier for their communities because they believe that it's sustainable and that what they farm yields a special meaning to their communities. And I'm going to be a bit honest to you about my own observations is when you see a farmer that's farming organic versus a farmer that's not farming organic, there are nuances and differences in how they approach pricing on the product and how they approach harvesting. I'll leave it at that. The ninth reason that organic farming may be of interest to you is over time, you're probably going to get tea that's really stable every time it's harvested through non-organic fertilizers versus organic tea that may not taste the same every time you harvest from it, but over time, it actually improves. The 10th and last reason that you want to go organic, and this is also my personal opinion, is some of the tea may not have the aromatics that non-organic high mountain tea may have. Despite that, they may use less pesticides because of the elevation they're at. But your tea, and I taste this myself, is a little bit more earthy, and you can taste the soil more than you can on non-organic farms. Why? It's normal, right? If you look at the soil profile of an organic farm, which I'll put here on the screen, they're very different. So, does this mean that it tastes better? Again, I want to go back to the taste. Does it smell better? It's very subjective. So, in summary, I hope you can understand that drinking organic tea has its benefits, but most of the tea that you're going to be drinking today that you're buying from credible brands, be it non-organic, they're going to go through a testing certification process that conforms to government policies that says, you know what, you can have pesticides, but not above this level because this level is harmful to human health. If you want to be on the safer side and you say, I do not want to have anything with pesticides whatsoever, then I think the clear choice is you go organic. So it's subjective. One is not necessarily better than the other. It depends on the context. It depends on what you're looking for in terms of your experience with tea and organic farming. Have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye.